entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for Tuesday, April 8, 2014.
I'll support.
A motion by Wilson, supported by Berner.
I think at this time we need to either add or delete before we approve.
We'll get that in the consent agenda.
Okay.
We haven't approved the consent agenda at this
Okay.
point. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And now we'll move to the consent agenda. I am going to ask to pull the claims and audits and put that down into the finance. And at this time, I'll call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Christenberry, supported by Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor, or roll call? No, we don't have to do a roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. At this point, I'll ask for any public comment regarding today's agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to our first order of business. Mr. Joe Brio, Maintenance Supervisor, Department Head. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. Where do you want me to start?
Try the beginning.
Okay, we'll go with the copy machines. I have some prices from 3 different companies. One of them's from Miller in Lincoln. If we buy the copy machine outright, it's $6,495. And the copy, we're talking about the copy machine in the hallway here. That averages 60,000 copies a year. If we purchase their maintenance agreement, it's just under a penny per copy. That comes out to about $570 a year.
How much is it? Like 0.008?
0.0095.
0095.
Yep.
All right.
I got a price from ATEC, who we deal with now. Their copy machine is $2,799. That's roughly 60,000 copies. Their maintenance agreement is 0.0125. That comes out to about $750 a year. I have another, and I added if the county decided to lease. From Miller, the monthly payment would be, these are 5-year, or
60 months?
60 month, 5 years, yeah. It's $146.14. That comes out to, I'm just going to round these figures up, is that all right? $8,800. Over a course of 5 years, 300,000 copies at 0.0095 comes up to $2,850. Grand total would be $11,200. Xerox, who I believe you can only lease from, their monthly payment was $112. With their lease agreement or maintenance agreement, it comes out to $9,200. ATEC, their lease payment is $77 per month. 300,000 copies times 0.0125 comes up to $8,400. In the past, we have not. I don't believe we have leased them in the 28 years I've worked here. If I had it figured out, it was like I should have wrote it down. I didn't, but it was cheaper not to have the maintenance agreement with this copy machine here, anyways.
To purchase and have a purchase agreement or a
Just-
maintenance agreement?
Not have a maintenance agreement. Since I've worked here, we haven't had a maintenance agreement on the copy machines I take care of. Now, some of the offices may have. I don't know about that, but. this one and the one at the courthouse. And so far, we've been ahead of the game.
Joe, you were spending $240 was the figure you're looking for a year on that machine.
Yeah, and I have wrote down what I, since 2009 through 2013, what we spent on this machine out here was $2,294.
And that's for paper, toner?
No, not paper, that's for toner and service on it, you know, drum or whatever. We spent $845 on toner and $1,450 on service on this machine.
Okay. And your recommendation is?
I'm not saying that these other companies aren't good companies, but I've dealt with Joe over at ATEC for however long we've had copy machines. I'd give him the key to my house. So he's been good with us. He comes when I call him. You know, he's fair on price. I would recommend them.
And you're recommending the 2,700
Exactly, 28
direct
grand.
purchase without a service agreement?
It's a gamble, you know. Yeah, that's what I'm recommending. You know, I could be wrong. I haven't been in, but it could be. But that's what I'd recommend.
You haven't been wrong?
Not on this copy machine. I haven't. We've made money on it. Other places, yeah, but not this copy machine.
Any questions for Joe?
That's a brand new one, right, Joe?
Yes.
The
They have
only question I got, Joe, is there a way to shut the color off on this, where we don't have to have color out there?
I can find that out. I can't answer
That
that.
could really get expensive, them running color copies on.
I thought this was a black and white.
It says color right here.
Color scan.
Yeah.
But I thought this was a black and white printer. Copy machine, I should
I'm
say.
not sure.
I don't believe there's a color toner in there.
I don't know. This is color scanner, so that have color.
Color scan?
The toner for the new copy machine from ATEC is about $100, and it does about 20,000 copies. So that'd be roughly 3 toners, you know, 2 or 3.
Yeah, there's no color toner, no color cartridge in there, is there?
I don't believe so. No,
I don't
I think
think
it's
so.
just.
It will scan the color, but it won't, but it prints it black and white. Dan's shaking his head yes, so that means it's
Probably
correct.
right.
If there's toner, yeah, it's only black and white.
Yeah, we don't need color out there.
Well, Brenda will disagree.
I just want to make things pretty.
Pretty is not necessarily economical.
No.
Yeah, she's gonna need one.
Like I was going to say, that would take like a week from when I call him, because under the government program, he can't buy them; he has to order them. So.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Joe's never been wrong.
Yeah, here we go.
Are you making the bill right now?
A motion that Joe's never been wrong.
If you put that in the minutes, I can do that.
That's the Ecosys. That's what I've got on here. It's Ecosys Miller or.
I think it's a Kai Series, yeah, it's ATEC out of I believe it's Prudenville or Houghton Lake, right in there, down by the state parks.
That's who we have our machine.
Is it?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
He's good.
Just like one of Joe's recommendations.
Yeah, I think we should.
I'll make a motion to purchase a new copier. What is it, Esca? How do you say that, Esca?
Ecosys.
For the annex building, as quoted, the amount of $2,799. Moved from contingency to the maintenance department as so amended 2014 budget.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Wilson, supported by Grantor. Any further discussion?
Now, is that the total cost on that machine? It includes
Tax,
everything.
Yep.
We don't pay tax.
He'll show everybody how to work it.
Roll call.
Commissioner Kushner?
Yes.
Commissioner Warner?
Yes.
Commissioner Christenberry?
Yes.
Commissioner Grantner?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Somebody's got their phone going on.
Are you content now?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now you gotta do the other part.
Pardon me?
Your other part, too.
We did that already, don't you remember?
You're not gonna be wrong in this one either.
Yeah. All right, I think you all have a list of some of the things we got accomplished over the winter time. Maybe the easiest way is if you have any questions, ask me.
Thank you for the detail, Joe. I do appreciate that.
And then, anyways, starting here pretty soon, we'll be starting spring cleanup, obviously. I had listed some things we have at the fairgrounds from April to August. I'm guesstimating that we'll have about $4,200, $4,300 revenue in that from what's going to be happening out there. Water samples and campground permits for the fairgrounds will be done here shortly. I'd also like to hire back Alfredo for a part-time employee to help with the fairgrounds, airport, and Smith Lake. And I think I had it somewhere on there, the community center is gonna take in around $865. I just had somebody call yesterday for another wedding, so that's obviously gonna change.
Do we have any major projects coming up that we need to be concerned with?
There's one out to the fairgrounds. I don't know how major it is, but when there's a horse show out there, we don't really have any way to, I'm not a horse person, but like drag the arena. Right now, Tim does it with some people that he knows. We don't have like a, help me Tim, like a drag or whatever you call it, you know, I don't know.
They don't have an arena drag that drags and smooths the arena out. Our horse group has one. We're in the process of purchasing it. I may come up and ask for some help with that right now. It's a $3,000 piece of equipment. We can buy it for $1,800. We've had it for a couple of years already. We put $500 down towards it right now. So we owe Jackie Bondar about $1,300 on it. And we'll have some more 50/50s and whatever to try and purchase it. If this thing drags on, I may ask you guys for a couple bucks to help. It would be county equipment. Even if we purchase it, there's no place for us to take it except the fairgrounds. So it would be kind of like our donation to the fairgrounds for our Wednesday night group that uses the arena and helps maintain and stuff like that.
Very good.
Other than that, I don't foresee any.
We don't have any issues over at the community center or anywhere else that you're aware of that we're going to have some?
Maybe the courthouse, or the sheriff's department front steps. The top step right where it comes to the landing is gone, basically. I'm not sure if we can repair that or I'll have to have somebody do it. So as soon as I can get out and look at it and it's not 20 below, I'll keep in touch.
How long do you let water run, Joe? I mean, for the year, do you think? How many days did you let it?
I bet it was close to 40, 45.
Really?
Yeah.
We didn't have any pipes? Only once?
We had the sewer froze twice at the community center. A couple times at the courthouse, there's pipes that freeze, but they freeze every year.
So we didn't have anything break or anything? They just froze?
We had one in the boiler room over here, but we
Okay.
took care of that one, so.
Is the boiler room in this building or in the
Behind the conference room building, for the old library.
field library?
Yeah, right.
Then you rerouted that? as
Yep.
I recall reading?
Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Moved it to an inside wall or something?
Yep. But other than that, I think we were pretty lucky.
Very good. Any other questions for Joe? And I'll entertain a motion to rehire Al Frazo.
I'll make the motion to rehire Al Frazo as a 2014 seasonal maintenance worker. Flexible hours up to 28 per week at $10.60 per hour, effective May the 5th, 2014 through August the 25th, 2014.
Second.
A motion by Christenberry, supported by Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. You got Al for the summer.
Thank you.
You got everything you wanted, didn't you?
Thank you.
I guess that's what you get for always being right.
Thanks, Joe.
Not gonna live this down. Have a nice day.
Appreciate it. Mr. Whiting, you're up next.
I just hope Joe didn't spend all of our money.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
First quarter of 2014 is normally always the slowest for the building department, so business-wise, there's not a lot to tell you about right now. The electrical and mechanical permits are the ones that we deal with mostly in January through March. Building permits are starting to pick up some interest. As soon as the frost laws are off, that's when we really start going, because right now you can't get machinery out to the job site to dig your hole, or you can't get the material out there to build with. So it's other than small remodeling projects, you're pretty well stymied until frost laws go off. And I think this year they might be just a week or two longer than normal because of the amount of frost we had this year. It was down at least 8 feet in a lot of places. And of course, under our roads and highways, it's really packed down there. So, but we're off to about an average start. It's no different than any other year. There's nothing to be concerned about business-wise. We finished up 2013 on a very good note. We had a very nice balance in our contingency fund at the end of the year. We were up in all departments, including the rental program. The rental program, we had a very good year with that. We brought in some new landlords and renewed some of our other ones. And I anticipate that'll be the same through 2014. The last time I was up here, we talked about the department possibly getting a new vehicle, because mine is a 2003 model. In January, I got my maintenance bill from Rod for 2013, and I spent all of $96 on that vehicle in 2013. So, as much as everybody likes to sit and drive in a new car, I just can't see the economics of me purchasing a new car right now. We're at 97,000 on the odometer, and as long as Rod can keep that baby running for $100 a year, we might as well run it till the wheels fall off. I had it checked last year for trade-in value, and it's only worth about $2,500 on a trade-in. So assuming that's about what we would get if we auctioned it off here in one of the vehicle auctions. So being prudent with the funds, I think I'll just hang on to that car for a while.
Now that's the Blazer.
That's the Blazer, the little tan Blazer. Mm-hmm. As far as permits and business in 2014, it's hard to have a crystal ball, especially in an election year. I don't see the economy taking a big dive this year. Everybody's going to be promising a bed of roses, of course, with everybody, the guys that are running for re-election. So I think we'll probably stay about the same as previous years. Last year I took out Cooper's permit fees from the business to see where we were at. We were still showed an increase over 2012. And I would expect again, taking Cooper out of the picture, I would expect 2014 to show an increase of probably about 10% is what I've been averaging since things started to turn around. So probably about a 10% increase over 2013, less Cooper. Any questions on that part of it?
Is Cooper, where are they at on their?
The weather put them behind probably at least 6 weeks. We were up there the other day and gave them what we call a rough inspection on the office part of it. All the concrete is poured on the interior. They're drywalling the office section, and they're starting to move a few machines into the big addition. So they'll be wrapping up that here shortly. The next big thing they've got going on is installing the fire suppression system, the sprinkler system.
So we're looking what, end of May? End of
Probably.
June?
Yeah, I would imagine they would be fully functional by the end of May and in that building. The only other project that I know of for 2014 that is almost a surety is Joel Yoder, I believe, is putting up his other 5 buildings across from the 5 he put up last year, which that's a wonderful thing. His first 5 are all rented out, and I assume Joel, being the businessman he is, knows that he's got people for the next 5 too.
Very good.
Any other questions? I would like to hire Jackie Bondar back. Kind of the same type of situation as Al Prazo, temporary, seasonal secretary. It worked out very well for me last year. We were able to open the office 5 days a week from 8 until 1, which helps our contractors and helps our downstate residents as far as doing business with us. I would like to have her from May 5th through October 10th, and I believe her rate of pay is $10.60 an hour. Instead of doing it in 2 sections like we did last year, I ran it the full season, knowing that if things go to hell in a handbasket and business turns down, I can always, lay her off and send her home. It's not that I have to have her if there's no money to cover it. And it's a lot easier to do that than to have to come back to you guys and say, hey, I need Jackie for another 6 weeks, and it just makes the process smoother.
You said the business will pick up by about 10%. Is that mostly, do you include Yoder and Cooper in there, or is that just
That's what Yoder probably be included in there. His is, they're not that terribly expensive, but Cooper's permit fees were over $30,000 altogether. So that's a big chunk of money that I normally would not see in my budget.
We're looking at just private and residential,
Yeah,
10%?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, if we can gain 10% a year, that's better than the economy's doing. So.
Yeah. Okay.
You can invest your money in the building department and make 10%.
Don't tell that to Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to let Tim rehire Jackie Bondar as a seasonal temporary secretary of the building department, and the dates of employment will be from May 5th to October 10th. Hours approximately 25 per week at $10.60 per hour.
I'll support.
Motion by Grantner, supported by Christenberry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Good report, Tim.
Thank you.
Huffy, you're up next.
We'll flip through the boring stuff pretty quickly, so page 3, and on to page 4. where you get past just meetings that I've attended and recurring tasks. The Emergency Management Performance Grant brought in $2,131.81 that was received in March. The Hazard Mitigation Plan is complete and has been accepted fully by FEMA. The siren controller was activated yesterday and should test itself Friday at noon. However, with discussions between Ron Bruner and Kevin and myself, it didn't get tested yesterday when West Shore came and installed it, so we're a little unsure as to whether it might actually go off when Big Creek or when Tri-Town is paged out. So we're going to look into that, and hopefully that is not the case.
Say that again? If Tri-Town gets toned out?
We have a concern that the siren may go off if Tri-Town is toned out, especially since it didn't get tested yesterday. So we're going to look into that, and hopefully that is not the case. Right now. I do it for a very short period of time. But that is activated, and the controller is functional at this time, as well as the timer. So Friday at noon, it will definitely go off.
This Friday.
Yes.
Did we put anything in the paper? Did people know? Or
They actually have a press release in regard to that, because I had requested that they get it in before Severe Weather Awareness Week. And so they were supposed to call me and let me know they were doing something this week, and they actually called me yesterday as I was almost in Midland and said they were driving here from Grand Rapids to put it in, and my response was, well, have you contacted Ron Bruner, because he has keys to that building and I'm in Midland and I don't have keys to that building anyway, which they would already know from when they were here, whenever that was, a year and a half ago. So they did get a hold of Ron and they did put that in.
So hopefully there'll be no panic.
Hopefully not. And I'll give you West Shore's phone number if you want to call them directly, Kevin, before you test that and make some inquiries.
Do that with Ron's permission, would it be okay to test on Tri-Town? And if it goes off, then I'll call them and find out how we're supposed to make it not go off on their pager, I guess.
Yes,
that. I knew nothing about it, so I didn't know.
Buffy, what kind of instructions are the people of Oscoda County getting as far as when they hear this siren go off? Is that going to be part of the news release?
Yes. Yes, and other than Fridays at noon, the only reason that the siren would be activated would be when you need to shelter in place. So it's a tornado siren.
Because I have a problem with that. I've seen things instituted, and the people say, "Oh, the siren went off. I wonder what that means." So I think communication with the people is going to be critical here. So.
Yep, and the paper got their press release last week. It should be in this week's paper.
Very good.
And they actually have run information about it 2 other times prior to this.
Will we have any flyers printed up or anything like that
I hadn't
could be handed
intended
out
to, but I could post them.
at some of the events that we have, so that people can pick those up and at least have a visual reference?
What about 9 and 10 or 7 and 4?
Yeah, that would be a good
I
idea.
mean,
We
that'll
can do
get out
that.
probably to a lot of people.
Let's make sure it functions properly first, and then I'll get in touch with them. I'm a little surprised they didn't just do that as part of their procedure yesterday when they activated that.
Well, he did.
He obviously activated it.
He had the power to the siren off, but the controller was doing it.
Oh. So the controller went, just not the,
Yeah, the controller, you can hear it working inside the controller.
like it would be.
5 on, 5 off
Right.
type thing, yeah.
Yeah, I will get some flyers and we'll post them. We'll post them rather than hand them out, because you hand them out, they just end up in the garbage.
True.
The generator, Jerry's waiting for that transfer switch to arrive. He anticipates actually early May is what he anticipates, and he will have to arrange with consumers to shut the power off to the building. So he's going to try and do a Friday, Saturday install, which is kind of a gamut with consumers, but he thinks that they will do it for him. The fiber optic project, they have filed for a permit with consumers as well, and they've got roughly 45-day turnaround, so they expect to hear in approximately 40 days, and then they will commence with that work, which should be pretty quick that they get that put in once they get started. I would say less than 5 days, 5 working days.
And is that within the grant
Yes,
timeframe?
yes. If you move on to page 6, most of these projects are
I
in
have
the
one
works.
question before you go to page 6. Reorient the Greenwood Tower. What is that and where is it?
It's a antenna in Greenwood that was just one directional, correct? And it had to be faced in a different direction according to Pete's study to function more properly.
Is it at the township hall? Is it up on the hill?
It's on private property.
Behind the Snyder Lake Party Store?
They've got it on
That's the one
private-
we're talking.
Yeah,
Okay.
we got it on private property and.
Right.
But the township owns the tower, it's just they don't own property that's on. I don't know if they lease it or just.
They lease it, yes.
Yeah, that work was actually done last fall.
That property just changed hands, that's why it came up for discussion. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All of these projects on page 6 are in the works. Most of them are, a purchase request is pending, and I should hear those within the week, and then those purchases will be made. We're kind of at crunch time for the emergency management departments statewide, because the deadline for this FY11 and 12 grants are May 30th. So projects need to be moved at that time, but it's also something that moves at the speed of bureaucracy. So even though my projects are approved, I still have to have the purchase approved as well at the regional
By
level.
whom?
The fiduciary, which is Alcona County. So that information should be forthcoming within the week, and then those purchases will be made. For FY13, we've been allocated $14,029.15. And the local planning team will be meeting on April, is it the 23rd? I believe it's the 23rd, at 4 o'clock in this room, and hearing presentations from local fire departments, EMS, etc., emergency services that will determine then where we want to allocate that bit of money. We've also been given $8,000 for the Citizen Corps Conference, and then this county specifically has been given $1,300 for our Citizen Corps program. And then the Citizen Corps group will determine what sort of equipment or what their needs will be.
Buffy, I have a question. It says 8,000 is allocated for the Region 3 CCP conference, which includes sending several Oscoda CERT members to attend. Is that period? Or was there more to that sentence?
That's period.
So we are going to send CERT members to that?
Yes.
What is CCP?
Citizen Corps programs.
You know I love acronyms. Thank you.
Upcoming May 16th is an SNS exercise, which is Strategic National Stockpile, and that's going to take place actually over on the edge of Woodsmith Air Force Base, and Corey Upper from the Health Department and many other individuals from the Health Department and myself will be participating in that exercise. I'll be there representing this county. Nor'easter Music and Art Festival is June 13th through 15th, and our Citizen Corps program will be helping to provide security during the day there. The ICS forms and ICS class is June 17th through 19th. That's scheduled with TEACS. I'm still waiting for EMHSD to give me final approval and put it up on that MyTrain website so people can register. As soon as they have done that, I will get that information out as to how to register. It'll be the same process as for the elected officials class that's coming up June 26th.
No, I think I missed something there. This is for the IS 300 class? And that's the 16th through the 17th?
17th through the 19th.
17th through 19th. Because I believe I had several conflicts with that, but I'm still going to need it.
Okay. That is the one that does have several prerequisites. One of the prerequisites is that weapons of mass destruction class, and it's kind of a non sequitur, like I was telling Mark. I'm not sure why that is a prerequisite, but it is through TEACS. It's not that complicated a class, it's online, but it is about literally weapons of mass destruction, terrorism.
What is that again?
That's a prerequisite for the 300 class.
What?
Weapons of mass destruction through TEACS.
Does it have a number or something like that?
Yeah, it was in the email. It was in the email, and I'll send it out again as well.
I think I still have it,
Okay.
because I didn't understand it. Okay.
I am planning to take vacation July 6th through the 12th. So you're on the hook that week. But Ed Rohn and Carol Adair will also know that I'm on vacation, and they'll be available as well. They're the EMs in Ogama and Iosco and Aranak. The visitor is in July, and then the Auxiliary Communications Conference will be in August. The Region 3/6 and Core Workshop is September 13th and 14th, and that's the one that several of our CERT team members will be going to. It's possible even the whole team will go because they're pretty excited about it. And we are still planning to do a dam extrication exercise at some point with EMS, and we'll get a schedule tour over there again since the other one was before you were on board. So we were just kind of waiting for you to settle in, and now that you are, we'll work on that. It'll probably be summer, fall. We'll do a tour summer, and we'll do a fall event. And then the MEMA conference is in October. I apparently didn't put it on here, but in May is the Great Lakes Homeland Security Conference, and I intend to attend that as well. It's like the first week of May. So I'll be in the state, and I'll be available by phone and text, but that's where I'll be physically located.
What'd you call that? Great Lakes what?
Great Lakes Homeland Security Conference. Have you got any other questions?
The 12th and 13th is Tri-Town. What is the time?
It's going to start at 9 a.m. and it'll go throughout the course of the day. Lunch will be provided on Saturday, but that's the only meal that's going to be provided. And that is, it's the hazard materials. It's the regional response team that's coming from Region 3. And then also on Sunday, Frank Tybalt is coming up from Roscommon, and he provides our mutual aid for hazardous material response. And the Forest Service is coming. Joe Alia didn't really know yet who he was going to send or which day, but they intend to send someone as well and make sure that everyone, all the firefighters, are aware of what they have available to assist in a hazardous material response. And then it will include basic training that will correspond to the Firefighter 2 test. Is that correct? Yeah.
Is that part of the Firefighter 2 training?
As officers, yeah. Hazardous operations is.
And you guys are more than welcome to attend any portion of that.
Thank you.
What's the outlook for this spring? I mean, naturally, the only thing we have winter weather, and then we have fire and tornadoes.
Yep.
What are we looking, did they give you any idea?
The long-term outlook, our flooding outlook has continued to improve, so it's unlikely at this time that we will see any flooding other than real localized stuff. And then fire outlook, we haven't really been given much information yet. I'm assuming it's reasonably dire. Does that sound like a good assumption to you, Ron?
They haven't said it was elevated at all, so.
And the weather is the weather.
Yep, the weather's going to do what it's going to do. The long-term outlook, National Weather Service was at our 3rd district meeting. They do expect this to be a cooler spring, summer, fall. And we're kind of in a weather transition where it's going to be cooler weather for, I think he said like 3 years-ish. Now that doesn't mean every day is going to be cold, mind you, but it means over average it'll be cooler than what we've seen the previous 5 years.
Another winter, next winter like this winter.
He was saying not quite as extreme as the one we just had.
Well, we've had a perfect spring as far as melt, freeze, melt, freeze. So
Yeah, it's been very good to us.
we can be very thankful for that. Because I think the dangers that we anticipated 45 days ago have pretty much gone away, because we've lost, I'm going to say, at least 2/3 of our snow, so that was a major concern. Thank you very much, Buffy. Do appreciate your time. Mr. Kaufman, you're up next.
You should each have a handout of the different things that are going on. I listed the highlights on there. I don't know if you want me to just read through it and just ask questions as they come up, or...
Well, I think for the benefit of the people that don't have this handout,
Okay.
that'd be the highlights.
So highlights from the past year is, of course, Buffy mentioned that we're getting that grant to install the fiber optic internet connection, and that's in process. So obviously that was a big one. Been working on that for a long time, couple years. We installed this presentation system here that Bill's going to be using in a little bit to just make things a little bit easier on people instead of lugging the projector from the Board of Commissioners room every time into here. We can use that for other things and then still have this here all the time. So that was one of the things that we took care of. Began meeting with circuit court IT people. To me, that's a really big one. One of the first conversations we began is whether or not they need someone full-time to be the IT director, so to speak, for just that court system, the four-county area. They're probably not as enthused about that as what I was. They're probably, the majority of them are thinking maybe that they would want to handle that with a contractor rather than trying to hire a person. It's kind of interesting. It broke down just exactly the way that I thought. The people that have, the counties that have a full-time IT director, they're the ones who wanted somebody specific. And the ones that had a contractor already, they're the ones that said, no, we need to have a contractor do the work. So I guess that was kind of predictable. But we're still working on it and trying to decide the best way to handle it. There's a lot of stuff going on with the court system and their consolidation and their attempts to do as much paperless as they can. But I address that later on down there. We moved the Friend of the Court office from a Tier 1 organization to a Tier 2 organization, and all that means is the state, on a Tier 1 organization, the state provides everything. They provide the hardware, they provide the software, they provide the technical support, they provide the internet connection. And that's how the Friend of the Court was set up. They had 3 workstations down there, and then there was one up in the prosecuting attorney's office, and that was Nina's workstation. And they were all Tier 1. And they moved them to Tier 2, which means simply that the county provides their email. The state still provides everything else, but the county provides the email and the county provides the internet connection. It's probably the most complicated of the different options they could have went with. Had they consulted me in the beginning about this, I would have told them to go to Tier 3, which is the county provides everything. We would have had to pay a little bit more money up front to buy them workstations and that kind of thing and software. But then there would have been a lot less labor involved and a lot less ongoing trouble, because the way to think of that is they have 1 foot in the state, they have 1 foot in the county, and they want to traverse back and forth to be able to communicate without any issues or any problems. And that is much more technically difficult than trying to just have both feet in the county, and then everything works the way, the security works the way it's supposed to, the antivirus works the way it's supposed to, the email works the way it's supposed to. But anyhow, that didn't happen that way, and so we went with what Mike had already worked out, and so they're at Tier 2 now, and we're dealing with those issues. Last year we made an offer to the townships if they were interested in having a website piggyback on top of our website, and made them an offer as far as how much that would cost them per year and stuff. All we were trying to do, we weren't trying to make any money off of them, obviously, we're just trying to pay for our own web hosting, which we have to have regardless. And so that wasn't entirely successful. I guess there's a couple of them that are still talking about it. They say they want to do that, but still haven't provided any information to me so that we could do that. And what makes it a little more of an ordeal is that we're in the process of going to our new website now too. She started work on that. We continued to get rid of old equipment. I'm real happy about that. I don't like throwing things in the dumpster that have some use to them. And we were able to get rid of, since we started in 2011, we've sold 13 systems online. And more people are still asking too. Every once in a while, people ask about getting rid of a system that we're finished with. And I go through and clean them totally off, restore them to brand new condition, and then sell them. And these are, you're talking about equipment that's in the 2000, maybe 2002, 2003, 2004 era. So they're quite old. They can't be refurbished so that they can work with Windows 7, which is the big push right now, is to get rid of XP and to get onto Windows 7. So they're not capable of doing that without extensive hardware changes, and it's just not worth it. The new equipment's too inexpensive. You can buy it with Windows 7 or Windows 8 on it already, so there's no sense in going through a lot of labor trying to refurbish these old systems to do that. And then I listed there last the process that started the process of helping the courts to go paperless, because that's going to be a long, involved deal. It's not going to be, okay, we're going to throw the switch and all of a sudden we're paperless. It's not going to happen like that. It's not that kind of a chain. It's a change that goes on and on and on, and we keep adding pieces to it, figure out how to do things, and go to the next step. Jack and Mark, I think you might have been there at our last meeting when we met with circuit court people, and I had mentioned that our particular site here is interested in going paperless, and they just laughed. I mean, this is from that NetSource one from down in the Saginaw, Bay City Saginaw area. They serve Aranac County, Standish, and they just thought that was quite funny that Oscoda County thought that they were going to go paperless. And they said, you have no idea what that means. And we're making progress. We're making very small progress, step by step, in that direction. It won't be completely paperless anytime soon. So I hope they don't have their hopes up, and I don't think they do. They know it's a long process, and we're working through issues on that. Lots of big projects this year. You know about the fiber optic connection, that happening soon. One piece that you probably don't know is I looked at our existing hardware, and it would be in our best interest to change out some of our hardware. It's not necessary. We'll get by fine with the hardware we have. But in sometime in the near future, I would like to replace our existing networking hardware to be able to run at a faster speed. Right now, it operates at a fast Ethernet speed, and I'd like to have it operate at a gigabit Ethernet speed. All that means is it's a speed increase, is all that means. That will make a difference in how fast we can transfer information back and forth between buildings within our own network here. The Windows XP workstation replacement is, we're going to meet on that on Thursday to talk about different options. And basically the options are, do we want to say that the county is going to provide X amount of dollars and for every department be able to replace their workstations with new systems or refurbished systems? Or is it going to be that each department head or elected official is going to decide on their own how they want to handle that issue? They'll still go through me to get the workstation and get it installed and up and running, but do we want to do it as a group, or do we want to do it as individual departments? So I guess we'll talk about that on Thursday, to figure out what we want to do with that. And like I mentioned before, the website redesign has begun. She's doing the court system's website first. We agreed to that because we have an existing website. They don't have one. And so she's working on that one first, and she's still trying to put theirs together, trying to get information. A big project, a huge project for the future is we have 3 Windows 2003 servers. Doesn't mean they were made in 2003, it just means that they're using the Windows Server software that was made in 2003. I think the actual computers were like 2006 maybe, something like that. And you heard the building inspector mentioning, you know, if you can keep a system going and don't have to go out and buy something new, then that's what you need to do. And that's exactly the policy I always follow, is we milk these systems far, far longer than any other organization I know. They just, every 3 years, 4 years at the most, you just replace systems. You don't try to get them to go longer. We get systems to go from 2002, 2003 up to the present. And that's, we've been enjoying the benefits of that by not having to provide regular dollars to upgrade. And the benefits of that are that, you don't have to worry about it. But then we also get behind the 8 ball on something like this Windows XP thing that happened. And we got caught with, about 40% of our systems were Windows XP because we kept putting them together, making them work longer, making them continue to go. But then all of a sudden, we're going to stop supporting Windows XP, is what Microsoft says. It's a marketing thing. It's nothing but a marketing thing. They could make it go a lot longer if they wanted to, but they don't. And so I honestly thought that today is the day where they say they're going to stop supporting it, which means they're going to stop providing new updates. The updates will last through today, and then that will be the end of the XP updates. So we kind of got caught on that one, but in general, it still pays off to make your systems go as long as you possibly can before you have to update them.
Can you throw out a general number of what we're talking about? Replacing the
servers? I just started looking into that. I haven't gotten any kind of pricing at all, but in general, a server's $3,500 to $4,000.
That's close enough.
Based on what we've done in the past. They're going to continue to.
I'm trying to compare, is it $1,000 or is it $30,000?
Right. Yeah. Right.
So
No.
That gives me a better perspective. Thank you.
And then I just listed some of my daily activities down at the very bottom there, in case you're not familiar with the kind of thing I do day by day.
Very good.
I keep a log of my activities down at the very bottom there, just so if I need to go back and need to remember what did I do on such and such a day, I still have that information. So I guess I can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Dan?
Does everybody like those IT meetings we set up?
Yes.
The other counties?
Yes. Yeah. They all are very much in support of wanting to continue to do that. And I can see how that's going to pay off big for us. Even if we never get that other person for the court system, you can still share knowledge with those people and then pick up a lot of things that they've already figured out. Instead of being on your own and figuring out everything from scratch, you can say, well, how did you do this? And then they'll give you a possible, even if you don't go with it, at least it's another possible answer for some of the problems you face.
Okay. And you guys are still going to continue?
We are going to continue, 4 times a year.
Okay.
Now, as I understand, Kona County's people showed up at the last meeting?
Yeah, Aranac, you mean? Yes, they did. Yep.
The ones that they had a contract service on?
Yeah, NetSource One out of Saginaw area.
Okay.
They're a pretty big organization.
How'd that go?
It went fine.
They had some input for you?
Yeah, they just recently went in to Aranac County and totally redid all the networking hardware that I said that I'd like to replace someday. They went in and replaced it all down there. And they spent buku dollars getting all that up and going.
Define buku.
Well, the one switch that they replaced was $30,000. Now,
That's
there's a
buku.
huge difference. There's a huge difference between what we want to do and what they did. And it's hard to explain, but basically they want to take the speed that they're using to, they have a Merit connection, and they want to use the same speed internally on their network as what they're using externally to go to Merit. Which means that they had to upgrade everything between buildings, and so they're communicating at the same speed all the way through their system. We probably will never do that, honestly. It's not, I don't think it's necessary myself. What we do is we bring it in on fiber, we convert it going through our router, we convert it to copper, we do some processing of things, and we convert it back to fiber and send it over to the other building. And then they do the same thing. They convert it back to copper, they do some processing, and then they convert it to fiber, and it goes to the next building. It seems like a complicated way to do it, but it really is the only way that makes sense, unless you got, you know, the money to be able to
Economically feasible.
yeah, and it's just not, it doesn't seem like a reasonable way to handle it here in our county. And we'll still enjoy all the benefits of a hugely faster connection speed. So.
We don't have a gambling casino in our county.
Well, true, true. So we can't tap into that.
And I think that's where they got a lot of their funding.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
What speed are we running now, Dan?
What speed is our internet connection? 1.5 megabits per second is our current internet connection speed, and it will go to 10 megabits per second. Which, you know, it's not a direct one-to-one relationship. That's many times faster, really. So.
Any other questions for me? Thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate your input. All right, Bill?
Good morning. If you don't mind, I'm going to stand over here so I can operate this. Unless you'd like me to go over the investment
That's
report
fine.
first. I can do that. Let's do that. Got several things to go over with you today. I'll try to make them clear and quick. But if you have any questions, please stop me and ask. First thing I'm going to go over is the first quarter investment report for Oscoda County. You've all seen this report several times now. Interest rates have not changed hardly at all. They're still about where they're at, even though there's talk of them going up. The only difference is, if you look between end of the year last year and first quarter, you'll see that our delinquent tax revolving fund is down. That's because I recently purchased 2013 delinquent taxes. And I also I had to wait until the 1st of April to actually pay off the county and the state education tax. I knew I had enough cash coming in, so instead of cashing in any more investments, I just waited until the 1st of the month to do that. So that will actually come down a little bit more after I pay those off. Overall, we got just over $2.3 million invested, and most of them are gaining between 1/10 and 1/3%, with the exception of a bond that I have that is gaining 1%. The only problem with the bond is most bonds have to go out a minimum of 5 years, so we are very limited on the amount of money that we could tie up for that long. And right now at 1%, after they go about 365 days before they make an increase, they call that bond, because rates are so low, they don't want to pay more, so they call that bond and then reissue new ones. So, is there any questions on this report? I know it's pretty much the same as last quarter.
Really not bringing us a whole lot of revenue.
No, it is not. About 10 years ago, our investments used to bring us about $125,000 in interest a year. I think last year we made right around 17,000. So, give you an idea. Okay, now I'm going to go over our delinquent tax settlement for 2013 taxes. I apologize, this isn't quite as large as I was hoping it would be, because I was hoping everybody would be able to see this a little better. I'll give you, you all have a copy in front of you. Anybody has any questions in the audience, just ask. If you start way over to the left-hand side, those are all the different buckets that collect a millage. A bucket would be like, let's say your sheriff's equipment is a bucket. The county operation is a bucket. So those are all the buckets that would be collecting a millage for 2013. And under column B it says assess. That would be the amount of tax that they were scheduled to collect. That came due, oops, I'm sorry, I'm on Greenwood Township. Let me get you a grand total. What are the grand totals? So all the taxes that were scheduled to be collected total. Well, $12,887,551. Now, during the course of the year, there are people that go to board of review to protest their taxes. There's state tax commission rulings that might make a change, tribunal rulings. So, under column C, those are all the adjustments that were made. I will say a majority of the $57,000 that was deducted was because of a golf resort that had a stipulation that reduced a lot of tax dollars up there. So that made the new dollars to collect $12,830,000, and the townships collected $11,384,000, which was roughly 89% of the total collections for summer and winter. The next bucket says less DNR. I left that in there because up until last year, the DNR was not paying their PILT payments on properties that they purchased or acquired that they actually pay tax on timely. But when I buy the taxes, they don't pay interest or admin fees or any of that. So I would deduct them at this point. This year they actually paid on time, so there's nothing there. So that merged our total over one more column that shows $1,444,000 was delinquent. I do not collect personal property, which personal property tax is basically tax on businesses that own computers and furniture and fixtures that they get taxed on. Those stay with the township. When they turn those over to me, I issue them a warrant to continue collecting that personal property. And as they collect it, they then disperse that to the individual township or county or entity that would be receiving that money had they paid earlier. So taking that out, the base settlement that I'm looking at buying was $1,420,295. We have 4 townships that collect a 1% admin fee, so I give them that admin fee because I will collect that when those delinquent taxes get paid to me. And then any summer levy gets 1% interest added to it on September 15th for a part of or for each month after September 14th. So as they came delinquent, they had 6% added on as we call it school delinquent interest. It's really summer tax delinquent interest because the county now levies a summer tax. And so I give that 6% to each one of those buckets that should have received it. And that's by state law. That follows those buckets. Again, I will get that back when that tax gets paid at my office. This is where I would have normally added the DNR back in, but I did have one township that overpaid $6.20. She wasn't sure where she overpaid it. I went through, I found she did overpay it, so I gave that township back their $6.20 and deducted the little bits that she overpaid at that point to the different entities. So our total tax settlement, including all delinquent interest and admin fees, was $1,488,315. And that's what we just got done paying out. Of that, on your second page, that is a breakdown of the county levies. This would be your county operating, council on aging, sheriff's equipment and operating, drug enforcement officer, There was a little bit of ambulance equipment because of a special levy that affects one parcel in Cummins Township that still collects that. Your ambulance operation, library, and the Perry Lake bond issue, $385,280 was delinquent for all county levies. And again, that was the one that I was waiting to pay off until this week. Actually, we're doing it as I speak. We're paying those buckets off. We'd already settled with the townships, the schools, pretty much everybody else except the state of Michigan and county. Is there any questions on this? This money comes from the investment report that I just gave you, and you saw under DTRF. As that money accumulates, then I start liquidating it into cash, buy these taxes, reduce that down, and now over the course of the next year, that will slowly build up again. So next year at this time, we'll have enough money in here to buy these delinquents without having to borrow.
This delinquency, Bill, is this up, down? How does this compare to?
I'm glad you asked.
2011, 2012?
I put this on here just because this gave us a little bit of history. This here shows the amount of taxes that was delinquent. I know it's hard to see for the years. I don't think you have a printout of this.
No.
Last year we paid out almost 82,000, so we are up a little bit. We have paid out as much as 1.6 million, and that was back in 2008. And of course the county levies, they haven't changed much. They go up and down a little bit depending on millages that may have expired, or new ones that have been voted in would make a difference. But overall, I know if I go to sheet 2, I got it on here. We've been collecting roughly 88 to 90% of the taxes before they go delinquent. That's been pretty standard since 2002.
So a 9 to 12% delinquency rate is kind of expected.
I usually figure 10% when I start looking at what I'm going to need to save.
And this looks like about 11%.
And actually, only because of the golf resort, if they had paid, because they did not, we actually would have had a better collection this year than we've had pretty much in any year past. They were a large amount, so that brought us back down under 90% collected.
That's the board of review and
well, and they didn't pay the 13 taxes. Even though they got the stipulation, they still not paid them, so they were turned over to me as delinquent. Had they paid them, we probably would have had about 92% collected.
has there been any communication with Garland?
Yeah, I talk to them quite regular. Their plans are to pay them. They haven't told me differently.
When they get around to it?
Pretty much. Right now, I think they're probably just getting opened again.
They're not open yet.
Okay. So I really don't expect to hear anything until after they're open and operating. And maybe when they get cash flow, they usually come in and see me several different times.
Thank you.
Any other questions on tax settlement? Okay, and I know the board has asked everybody to give quarterly reports at different times, so at this time, I just wanted to add a little bit more instead of just doing a quarterly report on my department, because in my budget, I really have some postage and a little bit of training that I have control over, and we're in line for that, so there's not too much I can tell you about that, but I thought I'd go over the county website and show you the treasurer's page and some of the things that we offer. I did this several years back. It was with the old board. I thought maybe you would enjoy this. Anybody in the audience that has not used this, our website is a wonderful site, and I encourage people to use it.
Ron, could you hit the light right there, please? That's the one. You were on, yeah,
Push the button.
there you go. Thank you.
Okay, this is part of the county website. I think if I go back, I can get, if you go into the main county website, www.oscodacountymi.com, you get the main page, and if you go over departments, you scroll all the way down to treasurer, you come up with this page. And I have listed on here all the townships that collect the taxes, summer and winter. We will be updating all these dates to 2014 here in the next few weeks. So we went paperless a couple of years ago on a lot of stuff. We used to print every month, end of the month reports, about that thick. And we'd send a copy over here to the board, and then we'd divvy up all the rest of them and send all the different departments there. So we were printing 2 of these books. Decided we're not going to do that anymore. So now we calculate this file and send it on to Dan, who puts it on here. We have our general budget status report, our special budget status report, our balance sheets, and then as the audits get done, we update that. Put a link on there to the audit. So right now your 2012 audit's on there, because our 13 hasn't been done yet. So under general budget status, Windows can't open this. No. Not sure. Yep, it's not allowing me to open it, I don't think. Well, I was going to show you the treasurer's budget on here.
Where's Dan going?
Well, just so you know, this is where the financials are. At the first part of each month, we calculate all these reports and send the file to Dan to load on here. So now instead of me sending hard copies out, for example, Jerry knows her department. She can go into the general budget, and she might be halfway down with all the different departments in the general fund. And there's her budget. So she needs to print it, she can just go in there and print that, or view it. Within all the special budgets, such as the ambulance levies, the sheriff's department equipment fund, trying to think of all the different special funds that we have, they would all be under special budget status report, and then the balance sheets would be for everybody. And it just cut down on a lot of paper. This is always there. It's there for the month, so you can view it at any time. If you do need something up to date, we can calculate as of today and get you something. But this has really cut down on a lot of paper, a lot of phone calls for different things. And then I also just wanted you to see, we do have on the side here, PA 123 questions. What this is, PA 123 was back when they changed the tax, delinquent tax and tax sale laws in 1999. Starting in 2000, the old way that you foreclose on property for not payment of tax and sold it changed. This gives you question and answer on, if I don't pay my taxes, will I lose my property? Yes, you have 2 years of delinquencies before you can lose your property. And it gives you some dates and things to follow, fees that might get added on if you haven't paid them by a certain date, that kind of stuff. This really helps a lot of people, especially when they're struggling. I tell them we take payments, try to pay things off though before deadlines, because by law I can't extend deadlines. So they can get on here and see I got a fee getting added on in August. If I make several payments to the county treasurer before August, I'll avoid those fees. And because I can't get into the financials, that's about all I have.
Well, you should save on postage too. Didn't you mail those things out to certain people?
A few things.
Balance sheet and
They had to go to other counties so that they could put them, with multi-county budgets. So it did save us a little bit there. I do have one more thing. Forgive me. I got two more things actually. Okay, also on the main page of the treasurer's page, if you scroll down to the middle, and I'm hoping this comes up, under delinquent property taxes, there is a link. And this takes you to delinquent taxes in the county. Now, if you just wanted to do a guest access to see what's there, you want to guess, start your search, and you type in a parcel number. If you know it, you can look it up by owner name or street address. Parcel number is the best because you never know how addresses were inputted into the system, or if you have a name that might have a hyphen in it or something, that might make a difference on how it was inputted. Oops, I don't want to do that. Now it'll just call mine up. And this is what you get. It shows you the owner of that parcel, the address, the property class, the value, how much the 13 taxes were for the current year that you're in, and it says over here paid in full. So that's all free.
Is that all you pay?
Well, yeah. Not bad for a cardboard box. So this is there. A lot of title companies and different people will use this because they can work at home, you know, on the afternoons when we're closed or on the weekends. But if they do need dollar amounts, and I am going to just go into this. If they do need dollar amounts, by state statute, the Treasurer's Office is allowed to collect 25 cents per parcel, 25 cents per tax year to provide delinquent tax information. We call it an abstract report. And on the website, because we're working with a company to provide this, it's an actual $2 charge that we split with the website provider to be able to offer this. But if you did pay the $2 or $19.95 gives you an unlimited amount of searches for a month. And we do have a few that do that are out of state. You can go in, you get the same information, however you can click on my name and the parcel number there. And this is where you're supposed to get that report. If you like. So you get a little bit more information, and then this gives you a 5-year history that shows the taxes, how much they were, if they're paid or not. Sometimes people need this because if they're not paid, the other site will say taxes are still due. You'd have to get into here to get the dollar amount that's due. And this is updated every night at 6 p.m. Thomson Reuters actually goes into our server and extracts this information and uploads it to this website. So any work we're doing today, like tomorrow morning, is all updated. So this is really a nice feature. Equalization also has under their page along the side an online. I guess a separate page. An online search. Theirs is all free. That gives you information as far as current taxes that they calculate that are billed. It will not give you adjustments that were made during the year after they are billed. But if you want to know how much taxes were when they first got billed, summer and winter, plus a couple of years of history, if there's a homestead exemption on the property, some of that information is available through equalization. And back to the Treasurer's main page, all the way to the bottom, there's another link here for tax sales. Now there's not going to be much on here because we're just getting started with the new year. But this site, as of April 1, I foreclosed on 33 parcels in Oscoda County for non-payment of 2011 taxes. We have a process to go through. I have to offer these to the state of Michigan. I have to offer them to the townships they're located in. During that time, We also check our noticing that we did to make sure people got proper notice, and all the process that we did over the last 2 years. If the state and the townships don't want them, we're satisfied with our noticing. These list is then put together, and these properties are going to be offered at tax auction, usually held in August. On this site here, provided by Title Check, that does a lot of the title work for us and holds the auctions, we will list the properties in Oscoda County. This would be the main page you come to, and you just come down here to the state of Michigan and run your cursor over Oscoda County, and you get Oscoda County. Now this just has our last auction, which was last October, and no information, but where it says additional information, down would be a list of each one of our properties. And I think it has the parcel number, the SEV. We then ask anybody that may be interested in going to the auction to pre-register online, and this has all the information that you'll need to register online. Then you can click on each one of those parcels and actually get a little bit more detailed information once you register. You can't get it unless you register. The reason why we ask you to pre-register, we get about 300 people in the auction. It's usually 4 or 5 counties that go in together. If you're there to bid on a piece of property and you're the successful bidder, all your information is in here. All we got to do now is transfer it onto a deed. We're not handwriting it down when there's a long line of people and we're trying to serve them, to get the deeds done properly by transferring your information. So it's all done if you're pre-registered. It's just a matter of verifying.
Do you have to be over in Grayling for that auction?
Physically it's held in Grayling, or you can get online and bid online. We usually have about 60 or 70 online bidders. The one thing you gotta remember with online bidding is you need to have a good internet connection on your end, because if something fails on your end, we are not responsible if you were wanting to bid and could not bid timely. But when we know we have internet bidders, they do give them a few extra seconds in between bidding permits to make sure things are kind of caught up. And that's worked out really well. Sometimes you go to these auctions and you have nothing but online bidders going back and forth, and everybody's just sitting there watching them going up and down. So those are the different ways that you can bid. When you bid online, you can either bid by proxy, which means properties, let's say, going to sell, or starting bid's $1,500. You can say I'll bid up to $5,000. It will automatically do $100 increments for you up to $5,000. Or if somebody stops bidding at $2,500 and you bid $26,000, you're the winner. Or you can be online live, just like you're there, and just keep hitting the button every time you want to bid, or you can show up to the auction.
Is there a cost for pre-registering, Bill, or is that free?
Registration is free. If you are interested in purchasing any of these properties, the first $1,000 is required to be certified funds, which would be cash or a cashier's check from a bank. They do take other means of payment after that. If you write a personal check and the check comes back, you forfeit that $1,000. If you bid online, you do have to have $1,000 on a credit card in order to bid online. But if you don't bid anything, you don't spend anything.
Is that amount used to pay those taxes that are delinquent?
It is. And then to tie that all back, because I'll be back here in June to see you. Right now, with the delinquent taxes I have out there on these properties that I foreclose, we're going to need about $48,000, $49,000 to pay off all the back year taxes on these properties. Some will sell and some will not. If we make $60,000, that extra $10,000, $12,000 goes into a restricted account in the delinquent tax revolving fund that 2 years after the sale can be used to move to the general fund, which is another report I give you in June, or it's used to help offset the costs of doing the delinquent tax process, such as if I had to pay an auctioneer, I would use that money, or things like that. So we do get into it once in a while. We've been lucky, we haven't had to use a lot of this money, so some of it's been available to transfer to the general fund. Oscoda County, we're a small county, it's not a lot. Some of your bigger counties, this could add up to millions of dollars. You know. On the ones that don't sell, we hold another auction that is a no reserve. call it no reserve, but it is $100 minimum. If I make enough money from the first sale to cover the costs of all the properties, then we're ahead of the game. If not, then I have to sell the other properties and hope we make something. If I don't make enough from those, then I have to use prior years to make the delinquent tax fund whole. So that's why when I come to you and say you have $100,000 in this fund that you could move, I might recommend only moving 50, because if I only sell $25,000 worth of property, I might need $25,000 from previous year to pay these ones off that didn't sell.
You also post those on the internet, the ones that did not sell at the auction.
Yes, after they have that first auction, probably a couple weeks later, we redo the whole list, put up the new ones. Same thing, if you're already registered, it's just a matter of signing in. You're already pre-registered. And then if we don't sell them at the second auction, then we hold them and offer them next year. The only problem is they become tax exempt at that point, so they're not doing anything. They're off the tax roll because they're under the county name. So luckily, we've been very fortunate to be able to get rid of everything. Any questions?
Would you collect the dog tax or license too? Do you do that?
Dog licenses? You can do that.
Just real briefly, since we're going to be looking for one.
What in particular are you thinking of?
It's just that, do you have a connection there?
There's a link here for dog licenses. Anybody who owns a dog, state of Michigan requires them to be licensed, whether they live in your house and never go outside or not. Doesn't matter, they are required to be licensed. This page off the treasurer site gives you information on how much those dog licenses are, what we need to be able to provide a license. The biggest thing is they need to be offered, they need to have a rabies shot from a practicing licensed veterinarian. And then off of that certificate of rabies, they usually have the age of the dog, if the dog has been spayed or neutered, and that gives us all the other information that we need. If you do not get a license for your dog and your dog gets picked up, I believe it's a $115 ticket that animal control can issue. And you still have to get your dog licensed. Okay. And then there is a link on here to Michigan legislator. Just type the keyword in dog license and it brings up a law from like 1939 or something that tells you all about how the state of Michigan came up with dog licensing. Any other questions?
Thank you very much, Bill.
Well, you're welcome.
Your 10 minutes was up about 15 minutes
I
ago.
told her I wanted 30.
Very informative. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, if anybody has any more questions, I do have more details on tax settlement in my office, broken down by townships and stuff. I just gave you the summary.
Thank you. Ron, could you hit the light again? There you go. Thank you. Well, maybe we don't. What? Is that what that is? Yeah. Now, we're going to move right on. The Maximus MGT discussion for Bill. It's my understanding that Bill would like to have us consider MGT from the standpoint that a fresh set of eyes for the next 3 or 4 years would be advantageous for us. I would entertain a motion, and then we'll go into discussion if you want to. Do I hear a motion to select MGT?
I'll make the motion to contract with MGT as written for the county cost allocation plan for the fiscal years 2013 2014, 2015, and 2016.
Do we need Ann to authorize me to chair, or to sign?
We can add that.
And authorize Commissioner Chair Jack Kishnick to sign the plan.
Do I hear support?
I'll second.
A motion by Kistenberry, supported by Granberry. Discussion, Bill?
Has anybody talked to Brian Watros?
Yes, I
Brian
did yesterday.
is with Maximus, and I know he is very strong about that. Mike is,
His contract isn't up until next year.
okay, so this will not affect him?
It will not affect him.
Okay, that was my only concern.
That's my understanding of the law.
Okay,
It will mean that MGT will have the prosecutor's office, the friend of the court, and the county.
yep,
And Brian would be a separate contract, which is up in 2015.
okay.
So we'll deal with that next year. Well, some of us will.
According to Brian, though, Maximus is the only one that can do his stuff. That
Well, that's why I wanted
MGT
to
cannot
know,
do
talk
this in
to
the
him.
future even.
They can both do it, but Maximus has done it longer, and he's worked better with them, I guess.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Opposed.
Let the record show that we have 1 for, yea, 1 nay. Motion passed. Copier for the ambulance annex, I guess we've already gone that route. My recommendation is, since we only have the quote from Gaylord Electric, and the other quote has not yet arrived, that we put the electric work for the friend of the court on, or table it until the next meeting. Any other discussion on that? Any opposition to that? Nationwide group retirement discussion. As I understand this, this really doesn't affect us unless you are personally involved with it. But as the Board of Commissioners, my recommendation is, since this nationwide program is for our retiree, or for our retirement program, and they are recommending that they have the option to select programs that are working better than what we are currently with, that we give them the opportunity to continue to, or to change the one program that they're suggesting and go with a program that is providing more return on the investment. Anyone care to comment on that? By doing nothing, we allow them to change to the new program, which is a better return for the investor. If we opt out, then that means that they stay with the program that, in my opinion, is underperforming. So what do you think?
Well, we have May 23rd to decide, and that's, I talked to Jerry and Bill about this, and the county doesn't, we don't put any money in at all, it's all the employees. And Jerry told me there's about 14 employees. And I just think it's their decision, not ours, to whether, what they want to do with their money. It's their money, they've been contributing. And if I did read this right, and I showed Bill, if the assets they're held in now, since their inception, they lost 4.2%, and the money would be redirected to another fund, and in the last, well, since their inception, they've gained 10.29%. So, like I said, I think it's their decision. I feel funny saying stick with something that